It's time! Treasure hunting in the sharky waters of the World Wide Web! Your piracy crew is AJ, Captain of the Chat! And I'm your host, Ola Vea, wearing a bicorn hat befitting a Devon pirate. In the top corner, Pirate Queen Raae! And here's the pirate princess, Smeel. Very good. And today we're doing API.
Today we're doing API. We're searching for podcast gold. I was very happy with that title. Very happy with today's title.
You should be.
Oh, I am so happy.
What is it our API that we're working on?
Yes, it's APIs, and I'm just gonna mute.
No, she asked if it was our API. It's not.
Oh, okay. No,
Okay,
no, but
I've
no.
missed last episode. So
Yes.
you want to tell me what we need to do.
But I'm gonna mute you and Ola because the system, the princess. Oh, there we go. I am a little tired today. Whew. We're gonna do this, but it's gonna be hard. I woke up. That introduction though, that woke me up. Sounded like we were gonna be fighting, like me in the corner and you in the other corner. We're like,
You muted me. No.
yes, I did. I didn't really mute. I mean, if I could have, like, I don't know, selectively muted the pirate princess, that would have been better.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that. So yes, let's talk about what we're doing today. Great question. I'm gonna add this to the stage. This is kind of our planning, documentation, chaos, I think. Oh, now she's down here. Do you want to?
She's getting my phone. She's getting my phone. You said I should draw a diagram. But first, we must say what the API thing is. What is it?
Yes. So, Mixpod, what we're making is Mixpod. And in Mixpod, you're supposed to be able to find podcast episodes and then compile them into kind of like a mixtape, like we did in the olden days, or a Mixpod. And to do so, we need to let the users search for episodes or search for podcasts to select episodes from. And we've found this API that it's called Listen API, and it lets you search through all, what is it, 3 million? No, 182 million episodes, 3 million podcasts. Yes, is that correct? My dyslexia. So, yeah, that is 3 million, right? 3 million.
No, I had to go from the back to the front. And
yeah, it's like, how many? Is it 6 or is it? Anyway, so we're gonna search through the 3 million podcasts or the under 182 million episodes. And as they say here, the best podcast API for search directory and insight. And we found that through this blog post by Transistor that is titled, "What's the best podcast search engine?" And
I mean, that everything's in the title then, right?
Yes. Search engines, listen notes. So we're just going to go try with that. So that's our plan today, is to see if we can create a search, just like a rudimentary search experience where we use this as API to find podcast episodes. Yes, Ola.
Why?
Why? I kind of introduced with the why because we're making Mixpod and we want people to be able to find the episodes they want to share with a friend in a Mixpod. And all podcasts are RSS feeds, but it's a little, I feel like it's a little too big of a ask to ask our users to kind of find the RSS address, plop that into Mixpod, and then find the podcast episodes. So if this works, then that would give a much better experience. And it's always fun working with third-party APIs.
Nice. So the final question is how?
Yes.
Well, yes. I guess we're going to find out. I was going to start by drawing a diagram. Oh,
here it is.
Oh my God, there it is.
Right, okay.
There it is. Right on cue.
It's
like
maybe
we
a bit
planned
big, but
this.
you can
That's so
shrink it up.
good.
Okay, so this is our browser, our little
Mhm.
Mixpod client that's in the browser. This is our server. And since we're using Astro, we code kind of both the client side and the server side in Astro. And then we're going to talk to the Listen API. So that's the logo for the Listen API.
Yeah.
So let's draw a little bit. Maybe I can I like squish it? I know this is going to ruin it a little bit, but no, it stays in the same aspect. Just wanted them to be further apart. Okay, so we have our browser. Our visitor comes. There we go. Our visitor comes to the browser. Can I beef this up? Do you think? Let's see. Extra
Like
large.
make it bigger. Oh, I don't know, but working with arrows when making diagrams is always like the thing that makes me want to quit.
Yes. And I think we did an interview with the guy behind TL Draw, and kind of his gateway drug to making TL Draw was to get the arrows perfect.
Okay, good.
He spent like years trying to get that.
Really?
So, yes. He spent years trying to get a perfect arrow, and then also perfect way to like draw like this. So you can see like it gets thicker and thinner, and yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
Anyway, so our visitor or user, but let's say user then. User. So our user visits the browser, and then they want to search for something.
No, that's not okay. Yeah, the green thing is the user, and then the Mixpod is the browser.
Yes. So this is our product, Mixpod, and the user visits the Mixpods to search for something. User searches. I need to not drink wine next Friday. Searches. Searches. And then we're going to use the Listen API, and that usually has an API key and other sorts of secrets that we don't want to share with our browser. So what we want to do is then send the request to the. Okay, I'm gonna just do freehand because these arrows want to like stick to things. So if we do it like so instead, and then our client or our client code, we usually call it client code when it's like the code that's in the browser. If we had an iPhone app, that would be a client also. So you can have different clients. They usually talk to the same server. But in our case, we have a web application. So then it needs to send the search to send search to server. We need to send the search to server. Oh my God, server. Send search to server. And then our server needs to ask the search or the Listen API.
Yes.
Listen API. This is going to be messy.
Okay.
So if it's a restaurant, then Listen API is kind of the cook.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. I think, and then the waiter is the server, or I understand that. I'm just thinking about what would you need to do then? Like, what is the search going to look like from the client? Because obviously the client is like, I'm asking for this, which has like some name or like a number on a menu, and then the actual cooking is like the actual raw ingredients, right? But then to ask for it, you need to like, then the message is going to change between like what the client asks for and what the waiter is asking from the kitchen. So like, do you normally work from the back? So like you search, you find out what the API needs you to do, and then try to make the client make like an easy enough to translate request, or do you start from what the client wants and make it super easy, and then worry about all the hard business logic between the client and the kitchen?
Personally, I go from the client first because I like to see things in the browser.
Okay.
But it's super valid to start with the server code and just make this work, and maybe have some automated tests or something to make sure that this works.
Yeah.
But usually when I code these things that are a little simpler, I like to just start with whatever I'm going to see in the client and try to get the full thing to happen in like an easy way before I start layering in other things. Because when this is done, because then this part will answer with results. And then the why am I there? Then the server needs to kind of do something with that and hand it back to the client.
Yeah.
And then the client needs to show it to the user. Okay.
Is that the food then? The blue arrow?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's say if it's a coffee shop. So the user walks up to the counter. Let's say the counter is the but then I guess it's the counter is the client. and then I guess there's missing a step here because the server would be, oh my god.
I think if there was two people and one was the maker of the coffee and one was the taker of the orders, as it is sometimes when it's busy, then it makes sense. But if it's just one dude,
so so if it's like, I guess if it's Starbucks, because then you walk up to the counter and you talk to one person, and then that person talks to the second person who makes the coffee and then kind of hands it, but then it doesn't hand it through the server. It hands it to a counter and back to.
It does sometimes hand it to the server and then to the girl there.
That's against the protocol.
But it is like that. So let's say I want a coffee. And then I come there to the Mixpod girl, and then she asks me my name. And I say my name, and then when she tells it to the skeleton dude, the server, she changes it. She screws it up slightly, and then he the screw up and writes it on the cup, so that when I get the cup, it says something different on the cup. And then she gets it back and she reads it out. She's like, "Hola? Is that anybody here?" And so because
then you have to know it's me.
Like, which, do you start from the back, working from the back, or do you start working from the front with the that was your question, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of like, would you care more about how the kitchen likes receiving orders, or how the clients like to make orders? So because what is the search going to look like? Will you search for like part of a podcast name and like have a fuzzy search and then maybe episode, or like list everything? So like depending on what you put, you will have to list for both. You're going to have to look for both the entire shows as well as individual episodes, just like you like. No, I don't want to be name dropping again, but like in Spotify, that would show you the albums, the artists, the songs, podcasts, and any other things that we're getting.
I think we'll just have to see kind of a little bit what they have.
Yeah.
So since we are in the small, we're doing kind of like a full stack application here where we kind of own every part. I like to go a little bit back and forth, code a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, then change it a little. We can go back and forth. If this was a larger kind of enterprise endeavor, the people who are going to write the server code and the people who are going to write the client code kind of would need to sit down and agree on how that should look like. And then with a third-party API, we don't have to agree on anything because we need to use whatever they've made. So like we cannot ask Listen API to change their APIs, but since we have full kind of control over the client and the server, we're not going to have a strict API between those because we can like change it up as we go along. But then I'm guessing like where you work and where I've been doing some day job work, like this is where a lot of the issues are happening because the people writing this, the client part and the server part are not communicating sufficiently.
I think it depends. Like on my team, actually, we do both front end and the back end. So like,
so then
a platform for ourselves, but there are different teams that do, and we have some restrictions when it comes to then like downstream dependencies. So some of the third parties we can ask to change the API a little bit depending on like the contract, and some of them it's like, no, this platform just doesn't do it. You need to find a workaround.
You need to work around that.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make a thing to make that thing happen.
But so
yeah,
I think we're just gonna start with like try to just make some sort of simple search. So if you look, we can have a little look at the documentation here. They have like an API.
Cool. It's nice to see your process, because I feel like everyone does it differently. That's why I asked if you start from the back end or start from like, what do I want?
I guess I would like, what I do is like I go and look a little bit at the docs and kind of see if it's possible at all. And here we see we have like a search API and it's called a full text search. So full text search on episode podcast, so current list of podcast, and there's like lots of information here. There's an example.
So you won't have to actually, so you won't actually have to like do a lot to make the both episodes and names and artists and whatever like happen. So this search would actually give you anything that there is that matches, right?
It looks like this search API searches through like all kinds of things. And then,
but they have a special episode thing.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, which is the one I tried to make.
Okay.
It's if you go to the top, they have like releases or something. No. Yes. Announcements all the way at the top. Further up there, announcements.
There you
go. Introducing new API endpoint.
Search episode titles. Okay, so you can decide how does it differ from get search. Simplicity, the new endpoint focus solely on episode title, eliminating the need for multiple parameters, tuning, performance. Oh, so maybe we should use that then, because I'm thinking now like, okay, I want to share an episode with you, AK. I'm like, oh, this episode I heard, it was like the latest syntax episode about something, and then I'll just search for the title.
Yeah, but what if you don't know the title? You just remember that the person's name was this, and the show was something about this thing, and you only know like one word from the name and one word from the title and nothing about the episode, but you remember like roughly where it was.
I recommend a Google search. Because you know those Google guys, you can say a lot about them, but they're pretty good at search.
But then people will go to make stuff in Google Podcast and share it like that instead of using Mixpod.
Yeah, you're right.
That is true. But okay, so let's try this full text search then to start with. Like full text searches are quite great because you can like but you often get like a lot of results, and it's sometimes hard to know why did I get this result.
And if it's gonna be like something very generic,
let's look
at the get a big search, so then you're gonna have to chop it, and then
because we have a response body, so the response will be results, and in there it's ID. And do we know if it's a podcast or a episode?
I did a search here because you can search right here. You don't have to code anything. You can just put in your, if you wanna, you can just put in your API key right here.
So let's do TL
you have to put in your API key. You don't want to do that, do you?
Could you? Okay, but could you? Yes. Do you know? Do you know if we can ask them to forget that API key after the show?
Who? Oh, get a new one, you mean?
Yeah, and like deprecate this one, because then I can put it in.
But can't you just do it off screen?
No, because it's still gonna show. Because it's gonna show up over here.
Yeah, but you can just tell us, because what happened to me when I did that was like I searched for data in the wild. I was trying to find our like podcast thing that we do with Zeta, and it gave me 3,000 hits, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, well, you know what? We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna share our API key and let's have some fun. So, no, you're not allowed. I'm not allowed to put it in. Oh, no, I think you have to log in.
I just put it straight into the text there.
Oh, look at that! Wow.
Yep.
Okay,
running. What are you searching for then?
I searched for TL Draw because I know he's been on a couple of podcasts talking about it.
No, he hasn't, as you can see.
Well, he's been on my show.
Maybe it's just not in there database, so like they don't pull from wherever that one was.
Huh.
Or maybe
Well,
like field
you know
draw would
what?
need to have like a special character escaped or something in that. I don't know.
Let's just start using it. See, this is me.
Okay.
Now that this is enough documentation for me. Now we're just gonna go ahead and do it.
All right. All right.
So
we definitely have completely different developer selves. I'm just like carefully making sure that I've got everything and taking notes, and then I do it. Like I have a plan.
Yeah. You like to have a proper plan first?
Yeah. That's good.
I mean, I'm not against it. It's just not in my DNA. No, I kind of what I like to do is like, okay, we have a little, now we tested like search. Okay, we know there's a search API, and then we've see there's some examples here. Now I'm like, okay, I want to just make sure it happens.
Yeah.
And since I am kind of a front ender first, I like to just start with the front end. So let's just make a page called search. And then in Astro, whatever is within these lines, this fenced area on top, it's also called a front matter often. But I also heard somebody call it like a code fence. So whatever is between these little lines. Oh, I forgot to make my code bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's going to get blurry otherwise.
Yeah. So between here, this actually is code that will run on the server, and we've set our Astro to be in like server mode where nothing is statically generated. It's
Wait, so in Astro to tell the difference between like a code between client side and you just use lines.
Yes.
What the hell?
I know. So whatever happens up here, it's the same. So in our index, like this is imported when the page is built, and then this is created, like rendered. But we didn't really do any code there. But with Astro, you can put any code here that runs on the server. So, but what we could do is like, let's just start with, because we need like a form, and then I want a search input. So now you can actually just do search. It's a new input.
Yeah.
Search, and then we'll do submit. And then it needs a name, I think, to be able to get it. So, and this is like old school. You usually call the search query param for just Q. It's like very, yeah. And then as I wrote about in my advent calendar yesterday, there's something called a field set that you can surround parts of your form inputs with. And if you have a field set and you create a legend, I think.
Yes.
Legend. Search for a podcast episode. You actually get pretty nice out of the box styling.
And I think it's good for accessibility, right?
And it's super good for accessibility because it will actually like say that this part of the form is,
is where,
look at that. Search for a podcast episode. Search, and it gives you this little box.
Okay.
And what I wrote about in the calendar yesterday is that field set you can actually set disabled, and then you disable everything within the within the field set, which is pretty nice if you're doing React code or something and you have like a ton of input fields and you want all of them to be disabled. You can just put them in the field set. It's my favorite usage of that. But we don't have an input field, so I've done something wrong with this search. I think it's just search. And then whoa.
I can't see input anywhere.
No, but search is supposed to be an input.
Okay. Is this HTML that everybody's talking about?
HTML search element.
Is it input type search?
No, because there's a new one. It's this one.
Yeah, it just came out, right?
Yeah. So it's supposed to just be. Oh no, I guess it's just input search.
Yeah.
I thought it had like its own like search thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well. So we'll
Could
use
be.
So it still is input. It's just input type search, and the type search is new. I thought it was gonna. Okay.
Neat.
There we go. Now it has a little thingy there, and our button jumped outside of the field. I don't know what VS Code did for me there. And then just because I'm me, we just need to have a little bit of styling so that let's put it in the main because we need a main. And then we'll just do the main styling. We'll do a max width of 64 characters, and then center it. Margin 5M0. Didn't I do margin? Auto, I mean auto. I am tired. I can't even center a div. Whew. And then I'm just gonna bump it up like this.
I'm so
we
glad
have
to
something.
see it, because it does bother me every time I need to center a div and I fail to do it, and I'm like, how do I get paid for anything? Why is this so hard?
Why is this so? I know. I was thinking it would be fun to do like a little mini site that just like goes through the history of centering a div and just like shows all the ways that we've tried to do it over the years. But anyway, so I think, yeah, because you weren't here last week, because what we did then is that we did an email form and we kind of got blown away by just old school form element, because the form element actually does have its own kind of set of interactions under the hood. So if we write TL draw again here, then TL draw and search, we are actually changing the URL up here.
Yeah.
And we're actually doing a reload of the page. So we're actually like doing a reload of the page, which that means whatever code is in this little fence block here, or code fence or whatever we call it, will run again. So we could then get the search query right here. And I think it's Astro. Astro has some kind of, because I looked that up earlier. Astro or URL. So Astro URL is actually an URL object, and everybody wants to know about the URL object. It does so much cool stuff. Never try to regex your URL. JavaScript got this for you. So I think then we can get the query from Astro.url, and then I guess it's search params get q. Oh, look at that. It's helping me. Thank you, Copilot.
Oh.
And then what I like to do if I'm going to do a search result is just use the query as the value again, kind of just to show what we're having results for.
So does it just come through? Because you know how like in React, I know React, you would need to like pass as a prop or have it in get server-side props, like depending on what you. Does that just like that? It's just there, surface.
Yes.
If we. Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my god.
So then we can already search, because now we have the query, and like if we have a query here, then we want to do a search and we actually want to show that. So so then I guess we just copy. Where did my date? So let's do API, and then we wanted to test the docs. We wanted to do that full text search. So let's just copy paste all of this.
Yeah.
And then like you told me, Ola, you can even if you don't give an API key, it will actually like use this like fake data, which is kind of nice. So we can just start with that. So then we have the query, and we want to use that query instead of Star Wars. And then in Astro, we can't use these like require things, but we can change this, I think, to import client from podcast API. And then I guess we need to install the podcast API. So are we doing, I think I already did that earlier today. So because it's already showing up. But it's not in my package JSON. So let's just make sure that we're using npm here. So npm install podcast API.
Yes.
Okay. 2 moderate severity vulnerabilities. Yes, I'll take that. Okay, so then we installed the podcast API and we just copy pasted. We are not understanding. AK can read all the documentation afterwards and figure out the settings we want to do. But just by looking at the code, we can okay, so the query is whatever we give it. We sort by date 0. Have no idea what that means. We're looking for episode. So I guess this will only search through episodes and not podcasts. So I'm guessing if we change it to podcast, we can search for podcast. And then there's an offset, and there's a mean and a max. So I'm mean max, I don't know.
I guess you could have like a toggle, not a toggle, but some sort of like I don't know what you call it. You know, like a slicing menu where you have like buttons at the top and they're like side by side, and you filter through that. It's kind of like, it feels like a tab. So you could
Tab kind of
have
thing.
like
You
a
see
normal
episode.
search, but you can also have like episodes only, this, that, and then change this query based on what's selected.
And then look at this. We can even like look at language. Like this one has selected English as language. That's interesting. And then it looks like it's only searching in title and description.
So search by date 0. That means we're not searching by date, probably.
Probably. So, okay, search by date or not. If 0, then sort by relevance. If 1, then sort by date. Okay. So that was a good guess, Ola. Yeah. So if 0, it doesn't, it searches by relevance instead of date. And then 1, it's date. Type, episode, podcast, curated. Offset for search results. Len, minimum length in minutes. So this is, so len min. I was like, what is that? That's the length of the podcast. Episode or podcast. If type parameter is episode, it's for the audio length of an episode. If type parameter is podcast, it's for the average audio length of all episodes in the podcast. So that's interesting if you want to look for these like long, like Tim Ferriss that has like 2-hour podcasts, that type of style of podcast. That would be an interesting premise. This really is. I mean, it's not often, but this really is the best podcast search engine. They thought about everything here. This is super cool. And then published before, published after. So and language. So I'm thinking for our search, if we're actually like, we're going to skip the language. And then can we do all? It worked, language. I'm hoping we could just leave it out. And then I also think we're going to leave out the genre IDs because that's probably then just searches in some genres. So that's maybe why we didn't get any TL draw when we tried. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do this. And then we need to show, okay, so now we're just console logging the data. So let's try again. Yarn dev. Okay, so we're going to search again. So when I press search, we're actually sending a GET request to our server with this search query param attached. So I do search. We almost won't see it, but it's actually doing a reload. It did a reload, and then we can look at our server and look at that. Look at all the nice stuff we got.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I suppose you could grab it and like just display it in a text field on the page as well, so you can like because in a terminal.
You're saying our users won't be looking at our server?
No, but just so you don't have to like switch between.
Absolutely. So I guess I'm just so we put the search in and we send it to the server. That's kind of what we do. And when we press search, we're actually doing a GET request to the server. And then the server takes that search query param and uses that in a request to listen API. And then listen API is answering with the results. But then we are we're not sending the results to the browser or to our client. So we need to grab the results. And now we need to look at the documentation, because where are the results? Usually there's like, lots of things on the response. So it's data, and then it's results. So response data probably has then this took, count, total, and then it has results. So then we want our results to be, maybe we should change this to a weight. Let's do that. Const.
Yes.
Probably. I mean, this is using fake data, so maybe it's all right.
Response. And then we need to do, then our results would be results response episode. Well, I guess we can just use it straight out of the bat. We'll just do response, and then we'll filter or loop over them and just display them. This is kind of funny. Now Copilot is all over the place. This is not even Astro code, but we'll just start writing. Response, data.
I thought that was some mad Astro syntax for like doing something super magical to the data, like looping through.
And then we'll do result. And then what I usually do is that I'll do a pre and then do JSON stringify. it's like the it keeps the formatting. So I usually do just result, and then if you do null 2, you get like this nice indented JSON. And in that way, I can actually see.
So much.
Well, it's not working, but supposedly we were supposed to see all of the results coming down here. So something is wrong.
Is it results or result? Oh no, response data results.
Maybe it's just response results. So let's console log the response again, and let's see what we get in our server. Oh, but there's so many there. But I guess that was data. Did we do data response?
No, we didn't.
No, yeah, we did. There we did.
I think there might be
of objects. Yeah, so
it is data.
Right?
Yeah, data and results.
See, this is the trouble. This is like where all the time takes when coding stuff.
Yeah.
Well, so response data results is obviously an array, so it should be able to map over it. What did I do wrong? Response.
You took
data.
result. Oh yeah, it's right.
Yeah, and then I take the result. Oh, I probably can't do this because I can't do JavaScript in here. Can I? Yes, I should be able to. No. I don't think I can do that here because it's not React code, it's Astro code.
I did JavaScript in there when I was getting my env variables on the Fathom thing.
Okay.
In
like
Astro.
you do there.
In Astro?
Yeah. When we did the Fathom thing. I'd put meta blah blah env the Fathom blah blah blah.
Yeah, but I don't think that was that wasn't kind of it's hard to explain.
So like what's the syntax for mixing the HTML and JavaScript, do you mean, in Astro?
Yes.
Yeah, because they have their own kind of JSX
MDX. Yeah. Markdown and MDX. Let's have a look.
But also, like, I'm not getting any. So if we go here, let's try.
It says it's just the curlies.
Yeah. So that's why something is just weird. I'm gonna go and see if I can get one out. Let's get the description original.
So with the map, what was the function that you were given again?
I'm doing response data results, and then I'm doing results map, and then results description original.
So rather than
okay. I think no, sorry, return. Yeah. We need to return it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then let's see if we can do result. Stringify result. Oh, string. Oh my god! Now I'm just like, okay, there. Result, and then null,
and then 2.
And then 2. My favorite debugging. Look at that. That's what I wanted to have.
Fantastic.
The rough cut.
And this is when you see that I am a front-end developer, originally, mostly, because I like to see it in the browser instead of like seeing it in a test or something. So we get a lot of cool stuff here, though. We get the ID, we get the RSS, the link, the audio, the image, even the information about the podcast, iTunes ID, thumbnail. Oh, and even highlighted. So that's what I was saying. It's really, really hard with full text search to kind of know what you actually hit on. Like why am I seeing this result?
Yeah.
And we get here, it looks like we get a title highlighted, which then will have a highlighted class on the words. So let's try to use that. So here it's like it's a span around star, because I think since we're not using the API key yet, it's still just searching for Star Wars, even though we're giving it something else. So let's try with our API key, because I added the API key to our environment variables earlier today, so that I should have them. And it was import meta and then listen notes API key.
I'm guessing meta env is just something to do with Astro and handling env variables, like process the env.
Yeah, it's Vite actually. It's the Vite. They use Vite for building, and this is the Vite way of doing things.
Okay.
That is good.
It's a weird, wacky way to do like import and then get the front of process then.
Yeah.
I wonder how that then works with Node runtime. Anyway, that doesn't matter. We've got about 15-20 minutes, so
you're good.
Let's
good.
set
Oh,
yes.
I did it wrong. We need to do API key in there, so let's do that.
Okay.
API key, and then we'll search again, and let's see if we find some actual TL draw results in here. No, I got nothing.
I think that we're still getting the mock server with all the Star Wars.
No, now we're getting empty results. So I think maybe our listen notes API key is not
no good. That's right. We didn't get any results last time either when we tried it just on their webpage.
Do you need like a what do you call it? Cross-site something as well to make it?
No, I think maybe
client do it.
I don't know. List notes API key. Maybe our API key is like overused. Maybe you can only use it for so much.
It did say something about 30 results, but I don't know what that meant.
Yeah.
There are some limitations if you've got like a free free version.
Well, then I think we're just gonna play with the mock. I really like that they have this like mock API though, because that makes it so much easier to like play around before you end up. Yeah. It could be because we like pasted in our API key here, or like you were testing yesterday or something, maybe.
Yeah, because it says 30 search results.
Yeah, but then 300 searches. Okay. The free plan up to 30 search results per query. Well, that's fine, but how many queries? Maybe we've extended the query. Or maybe there is nothing for TL draw. Let's try something else. Oh, look at that. There's nothing for TL draw. So syntax, we are actually getting a lot of information. So let's try to use that information for some good. And it also looks like there's some things we only get on the Pro and Enterprise plan.
Yeah.
But at least we can make something that now we've shared our API key a lot. So we need to let listen notes know after the show, Ulla, that you want to create a new one and make this one expire. So we're searching only for episodes, and we're using the title and the description. And then in our results, we can then, instead of using the pre, we could write, so, oh, look at that. That was very nice, Copilot, but I don't think there is a title. Oh, but we're getting audio players because they're using audio controls, source, result, audio, and there's looks to be like that was the correct field. But then title,
description doesn't show. Should it be something else?
So I guess we should do title.
Title, it's highlighted or original, right?
So let's do title highlighted. And then I just did this yesterday with Astro. How to Astro use HTML. Because there's something like set HTML, like we need to. I want it to be actual HTML and not. It was like set. Oh my God, I did this yesterday. GitHub, Queen Raae, and then let's look at the semantic advent that I coded yesterday. Source, components, layouts, pages. Let's look at this. Look. There, set HTML. You can do set HTML, and then you can actually use the HTML. So if we do title, and then we do set HTML, and then we do result, what was it called? Highlighted title or title highlighted?
Title highlight _ highlighted.
Highlight. Okay, I cannot spell this. Let's copy paste it. There we go.
So does it mean that if there is a HTML coming back from it, it's going to be plopped into there?
I think it's like set inner HTML, dangerously set inner HTML in React.
World. Okay.
And then we can do the same thing for the P. So if we then do the description, I'm guessing they have a
pretty neat,
highlighted.
actually, to like not have to like write a function for dangerously setting something and then like, yeah, okay, that's good.
And then we do, yeah. But we need to plop that into the set HTML.
Yep.
And then I guess we need to style the highlight.
I like that the self-closing elements are kind of like reactish, so like you're not too far from what's already like familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah, because they are using.
Look at that result. You've got a website that displays like episodes.
I know. And this is just like boring HTML. And then
Yeah.
I guess if we style, what was it called? It was called like the description highlighted line search highlight or something. So if we create a class for that. Oh, look at that background yellow. Yes. No. Was it not?
Can it have a background color? What kind of element is it?
Okay, maybe I can't. Let's say display inline style. No, display
block?
Inline block. No, maybe there was different codes. So no, this was description original. Where's the title? Title highlighted. This didn't have a highlight on that one, but it did it on the description.
Oh, okay. So this one isn't actually the one with the span. That was just the.
Yeah, this one. Okay. No, this is weird. I want to fix this before.
So do you need to grab a different elements from under description and then title highlight it?
No, there it says LN search highlight.
Okay.
Oh, I did the wrong. It was called search highlight, not line highlight. No, this is correct.
It's definitely a class, right?
Oh, maybe I can't reach in, because this is a problem I've had with using set dangerous or using with dangerously set inner HTML. We can't style inside it.
Okay.
So Astro style, and then what was it called? Set HTML. Maybe trying to style injected HTML and Astro. Thank you, Google.
Is it going to be something about the was it shadow? Because there's shadow DOM and there's the other one, and one of them's React and one of them is the new thing.
Okay, it looks like we have to do it as a global style, because Astro does some kind of when you put style in here, in this file, it adds this like data Astro sid ips bim. So the kind of it will only affect the class. I guess it's only affect the element that has that data element on it.
Pretty cool, because then it doesn't like you can have the same names for things and not clash between components. Okay.
So that's kind of cool, but it's not coming down the chain. So I think we'll need to use a global, or did I read somewhere if you don't use the data thing, but you use the there's other ways of doing scoped. Scope, what do you want to call it? Scope, style, Astro. This is so funny. We've made a whole search engine and now we can't style the freaking thing. Like, this is not supposed to be the complex part of this.
On the other hand, we've been doing this show for a while now, and every time we start styling, it's always, trouble.
Yeah, I think that's like I started off like when I was learning, like obviously front end, because that was the easiest, most accessible thing, and you could actually try it at home. But now I've moved away from it so much that every time I need to pick up, I know that if I pick up a ticket that has CSS in it, I'm gonna have to give myself another extra like 1 or 2 points for like to my estimation, because I know I'm gonna be like struggling to center a div. Just like now I'm like, was it Shadow Dome or something else? Because like I have some concepts floating somewhere, but I don't remember the specifics at all. Hey, it's working.
Good work.
I'm gonna write a post about this. Yeah. What I did was I use they have this thing called global. So then it applies to the child HTML elements only, but it's like it then targets the child.
So it's still scoped, or
let's see.
would this, if you had another component or like on a different page, would you also affect something if it had the same class or whatever selector?
Well, we can have a look at the styling. No, because then it's actually, look at that. It's saying main because I added the main.
Yeah.
So the main is targeting only the data astro sid blah blah blah, and then as you can see here, it's like it's saying that the parent has to be main with that unique ID. Did we see that?
Yeah, but I meant if you had that, and if you had like, if this was like multi-pages, multi-components, and you had that because you have the global word in there, does it mean that it would affect styles anywhere else as well?
It looks like it only means global below.
But within the scope, okay.
Yeah, because it's adding
like where it's written.
Yeah, because it's saying main and then that data asterisk sid ips blah 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 thing will only be added to the main of this type of page. But then since we did is global underneath, it's allowing kind of just like child classes that don't have this data thing on there, it looks like. So then we can actually, we scope it to the main, we scope it to this main, which then is the main inside of this page. But then we're saying that we are just targeting a child of that main.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it works if I just do it like, if I did main and then like that. No, see, that doesn't work. But why is there no TL draw? Like, I find that weird.
Because they're not actually searching every podcast. I think they're doing something to add the podcast to the lists.
Would it be like TL space draw or TL semicolon draw?
What about his name then? Ruiz something.
Yeah, because we had an episode with TL draw.
But try to search slow and steady then.
See, we have this TL draw with Steve Ruiz.
Okay.
But try to search slow and steady. Maybe you're not on the list.
It's like 2022. I don't know.
Oh yeah, but maybe we have that. I'm sorry, we have this like published before. You know, we had the published before thing, so then it makes sense because I don't know what date that was. Look at that. There we go.
But you only got 3.
Yeah, I didn't get hours from, so search by date, published after.
There was only in title and description. Oh, so I suppose it is the title thing.
But the publish after means you're not.
Yeah,
I don't know. Slow and steady.
Yes, finally. Oh,
it's not a show because it's episodes. Yeah. It's episodes.
Look at this.
But if we do podcast here instead.
Yeah. Was that what they called it though?
No.
We're almost at time.
Yeah. But I think we got, like, this is absolutely an API we can use. Yeah. We just have to come up with the user, like, what kind of user interaction do we actually need?
Okay, Lilian, are du klar? Vi må snart slutte.
I think if you can so easily change where you search, and so like by title, by description, blah, 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 you can have a general search, but also let them select, go like by episode, by not artist, whatever you call the person who does the podcast, by title, like show title, I mean.
Just being like some vanity
Queen
search.
Raae.
Nothing. Well, that was podcast. Sorry, episode.
Okay.
Look at that party in Oslo. That is true. Whoever is watching, you are welcome to join my 40+1 birthday party in Oslo on 13th of January 2024. That's a little over a month to go, and book your tickets and fly to Oslo.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at that. This is something else.
Yeah, we just need to fix the encoding. I don't know what that thing is, but
Yeah. Let's just search on their page just to kind of see what they do.
What the thing is,
so I remember that episode that you just got in the hits.
Oh yeah, because you see how in Scope you have episodes and podcasts. That's what I meant about the menu. I'm not a front end, so I don't know what it's called, but the menu that you have at the top.
Yeah. But this is kind of cool. But I think also if I click this button, like so that it actually does a full search, it also has a pretty cool results page where you have like the podcast on top, and then you have filters. Episodes underneath.
You definitely would need a sort and a filter as well.
So again, so they don't like, that's not an episode, like no podcast is called that, but then it's all of these different. So this is our episode here. Yeah. So somehow this is doing a little bit of a different search than ours, but this looks like the highlighted syntax search. I think we just need to play around with these settings.
Yeah. Depending on what they choose. I like Astro. It sounds pretty good.
I mean, it's pretty liberating.
Yeah. Gosh, not having to get server-side props and then draw prop draw something, and especially if you have to instantiate something in a very weird way because you've got a third-party library that's like a class and you need to instantiate it somewhere and then have a different
and I still, because I've been playing around a little bit with Next where they have React server components, and I feel it gets very confusing very fast what is running on the server and what is running on the client. And I feel here, even though it's in the same file, and even though it's just fenced with these 3 little dashes, I still feel it's like the mental model is still pretty clear. Like whatever's in between the fences gets run on the server and then renders what's underneath. And then if you want client-side code, you can add in React components or Vue components or other types of components, and then you set them to client, and then they will also be rendered on the client. And they call it islands.
If you had a design system that was exporting React components, you would be able to use them in Astro.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't know if you could use them for then if you only have server-side rendering. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah, I think it is, especially if you have use effects and stuff like that, and something then just something needs to run on a server side. It does get a little bit confusing sometimes. I think state management, I'd say, it can get a little bit confusing, and then debugging that. But it's I think once if that's what you always do, you kind of get used to it and you work around it. It's just, it can get really ugly, especially if you need to add your own guards for something not to happen, and then wrap your own server side props into bespoke ones, and it gets a bit wild sometimes.
And I
wonder what this project would look like actually if there was a lot more pages and a lot more components.
It's going to be interesting to see how, because I think I want to try to make it as much as possible without client side components, because as you can see, it's pretty fast to search here. I mean, if we search again, we could have even done a new get on every letter. No, we couldn't, because if we do that, then we'd be reload and then we wouldn't have the focus. So here you kind of have to press the search button, but we could make one.
I think that's fine though, because I don't like when it depends. If it's fast enough, then because it's a small data set, then I don't mind that it's populating. But if it slows down the entire thing and makes everything jittery, because it's just, but all I see is gray matter underneath trying to load and failing to load. It's just it's the side of technology that I don't appreciate for
and it's something you could add afterwards. If we could make this work, because what is so cool is that the audio element. There are some pretty cool HTML elements, audio. You just say audio and you plop in a source URL and you get a full player.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing with video. You get a full set of player, you get a full player. And the same thing with just using form. Form does a get request, and you can even ask it to do a post request, and you can even ask it to post or get from a totally different address if you want to jump over to a result screen. So it's and I know like this is funny because this is how it always used to be, and then we all got into client side, and now we're back to like digging server side again. But
Yeah.
But it would be like fun just as a exercise to do this with that little front end, or I mean client side JavaScript as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
No, that
Should
was
we
it. That was a good
summarize?
voyage.
Okay,
Yeah.
now you're breathing.
Well, I need to summarize, right? What we
Ask
Yes.
if you're done.
What? Why? How?
What? We created a search where you can search for podcast episodes. And we did that because we want you to be able to then pick maybe this podcast episode and add it to your mix pod, which is a list of episodes, kind of like a mixtape. And we did that by utilizing the podcast API or the listen note API, where we can search for all things podcast. And we ended up using the full text search API endpoint that lets us search through, and we are asking to search through the title and the description. And we made a little drawing. So, the user does a search, and then we send the search to the server, and then we ask the listen API for data, and we get the data back. We transform it a little bit, and we send it to the browser that then displays it to the user. And we did that with Astro. And in Astro, anything between the -- here and the -- on top is a JavaScript code that will be executed on the server. So we are asking to get the query param, which is the one up here, Q equals TL draw. So here we're asking for that. Query is now TL draw. We plop that in to the search function that comes with the Listen API client that we're using, the podcast API. Pretty good name for a package. And, we ask it to search for then TL draw, and we use different parameters here to do the search, and we'll need to play a little bit more with getting this the way we would like it to, but especially we're searching within title and description. Then we're getting the results, and then we are mapping over the results and displaying them. And what's kind of cool here with Astro again is that we do set HTML, and then it will actually like plop the actual HTML string into there. So we get these highlights that are these yellow things, because the results are coming back with a little span with a class on it around where we're matching, so we can know what we're matching, why this is showing up as a result. So we plop that in, and we style it with a yellow background for now. And then we also talked about how cool it is that we can just use an HTML audio element and give it the link to the podcast audio, and we have a full player that we can start playing the podcast episode right from there.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And I'm wondering if that is, because if you go to Slow and Steady, this is the Transistor. Transistor makes a page for every podcast that they host. But then if you do rss.xml, it doesn't look like XML. It looks like a pretty nice page here with audio players. And I think they are using something I just found out, where you can tell the browser that you have a CSS file that styles the XML.
Oh, so yeah, it's called XML. Oh, sorry, we literally just added it, because normally you would return it in the XML. You would say this is a style sheet, and it would be like XLMS. So I don't remember what it was called, but it's like a styling sheet for XML. And then so just like you would get sometimes requests for like favicons, favicons, I don't know what you call them. You would also get for like a request for the RSS XML style sheet. So you should be able to, in the browser, open load request the feed and load it, and it would load with some basic styling, kind of like you can style emails, like it works in a similar way.
Yeah, so that is kind of cool, because I don't know if that's what they're doing here, but I never knew that you could style a RSS feed. Yeah. Because like if I go to the advent calendar now, where I just have an RSS feed, like this is how an RSS feed usually looks like. So it's kind of cool if you can style them and make them look a little bit nicer. Just because. But yeah, that was it.
Brilliant.
I love this API, by the way. So well made. And that they have a mock API you can play around with without even having an API key. That is just super cool. Okay, they're getting ready.
Is it time?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. We did a mix pod treasure hunt with listen note API. And our guests were AK and the Pirate Princess. See you in 2 weeks' time.